Tuesday's episode was shorter than usual, 90 minutes instead of the typical 2 hours, due to the re-airing of coach Reba McEntire's new NBC comedy, Happy's Place, which served as a lead-in to The Voice. That meant there was less time devoted to all 6 competing duos taking the stage, with only 4 battles, 1 from each team, getting the episode's prime focus. 2 head-to-head showdowns, 1 from Team Snoop, the other from Team Michael, were relegated to recap highlight status, which made the eliminations of Torian Sellers and Suede Lacey feel like afterthoughts. Even so, each of the competing singers improved dramatically from their respective blind auditions, an observation that was consistently made throughout the episode, making the coaches' decisions about who to eliminate even more difficult. Find out which battle stood out the most from Tuesday's episode, who got a second chance, and which singer was moved to tears. Standout battle of the episode. The battle between Team Gwen's Frankie Torres and Gabrielle Zabuski, both of whom earned 4 chair turns during the blind auditions, was easily the best of the evening. Covering a more soulful version of NBC's rock classic Never Tear Us Apart, Torres and Zabuski blew the coaches and audience away with their powerful harmonies and lively stage presence. Gwen Stefani's unconventional song choice paid off as they showcased their vocal abilities without being hindered by trying to match the original. Torres, who leaned more toward rock, and Zabuski, who gravitated toward pop, were so mind-blowing with their battle performance that the coaches were left speechless. They expressed how glad they were not to be in Stefani's shoes, having to let one of them go. Michael Bublé praised the unique song arrangement, saying that it allowed each singer to show the strength of their voice as well as their range. McEntire lauded Torres's tone and Zabuski's high parts, while Snoop Dogg appreciated that the pair didn't try to outdo each other. Bublé and McEntire would have opted for Zabuski if the choice had been theirs. But the decision was Stefani's to make. After calling their duet spectacular, she visibly struggled to name a winner. After a few moments with her thoughts, Stefani made up her mind about who she wanted to move forward with. Zabuski. Her reasoning was simple. She stepped it up and she's super talented, Stefani said, adding that the further she goes in the competition, the more confidence she'll gain, and that can only help her in the future. Which leads us to a last-minute steal. The Voice sure loves to keep everyone on their toes. While saying her goodbyes to the coaches, Torres was stolen by McEntire, who at the last possible second used her steal. Stefani must have felt a sense of relief because soon after, she hugged McEntire and thanked her for keeping Torres in the competition. "I did a little play there, because I did say Gabrielle so you would go with Gabrielle, so I could have Frankie," the country singer said, referring to the coach's feedback session after their battle finished. After hearing McEntire reveal her strategy, Bublé couldn't contain his laughter. There is a reason McEntire is the reigning Voice champion, after all. McEntire was dead set on having Torres on her team, no matter what it took. Loved her tone, her stage presence. "I just loved her voice, and that's why I had to use my steal for Frankie," she said. Welcome to Team Reba. The battles round of The Voice is always full of exciting performances, heartbreaking eliminations, and shocking shocks. However, this specific evening demonstrated that Reba McEntire, the queen of country music, is not just a musical legend. She is also an expert strategist. The night was filled with surprises, intense competition, and a famous steal that rocked the entire show, all thanks to the presence of Snoop Dogg, Michael Bublé, and Gwen Stefani on the coaching panel. And it all began with a fantastic song by NBC that left everyone speechless. An NBC battle that was too good to call. The moment Team Bublé's 2 strong vocalists stepped onto the stage to perform Never Tear Us Apart, the atmosphere in the studio changed completely. The song, which is famous for its raw emotion and haunting intensity, required not only vocal talent but also a strong ability to connect with the lyrics. It was obvious from the very first note that both vocalists were determined to win. Contestant 1, a rock singer with a gravelly, soulful voice and a lot of experience, took control of the stage with such ferocity that it felt like a real stadium concert. Every note was full with passion, and every phrase felt like it came from their own personal experiences. Contestant 2, a young artist who is surprisingly sophisticated, offered a new take on the song. Their voice sounded smooth and calm, yet there was a bubbling intensity just below the surface, waiting to erupt. As soon as they reached the chorus in perfect unison, the coaches looked at each other with wide eyes. This was more than simply a combat. It was a masterclass in storytelling, performance, and sheer talent. Snoop Dogg, who had been relaxed the entire night, suddenly leaned forward with his eyes fixed on the stage. "Oh man," he said, "this is the one." As the song reached its magnificent final note, both vocalists gave one last, gut-wrenching push, their voices mingling like a perfect storm. The audience was already up by the time the last note had finished playing. For a brief minute, there was nothing but stillness, the type of startled, dumb silence that only comes after true musical magic. The coaches are divided. Michael Bublé was plainly having a hard time since he had to make a decision that was impossible. Gwen Stefani looked like she was in anguish as she clasped her hands together. "I don't even know how to respond. You all are just, wow." Snoop Dogg made a leisurely whistling sound. "You'll really put some soul into that. That was as smooth as butter, but hit hard like a West Coast beat." Reba McEntire was smiling, but it was the kind of smile that indicated she was already scheming something. At last, Bublé sighed deeply and rubbed his temples. He stated, "This is precisely what The Voice is all about. You both gave everything to that performance, and honestly, this is painful." He looked at each contestant, his voice heavy with remorse. "I can only choose one of you, even though you both have a right to be here." Then he made the phone call. "I have to choose contestant 2. The studio was filled with a combination of cheers and gasps. Contestant 1, who had just given one of the most impressive performances of the season, was now without a team. The performer, who was obviously feeling upset, nodded politely and got ready to leave the stage. That was when it occurred. Reba McEntire hits it big with the ultimate steal. A loud buzzer rang out through the studio just as contestant 1 was about to leave. Reba had pressed her steal button. The crowd erupted in cheers, and even the other coaches broke out in laughing and clapping, realizing that they had just seen one of the most intelligent plays of the season. Reba, who is known for her fiery intensity, rose up and pointed at contestant 1. She shook her head and said, "Oh, I was not going to let that voice get away. You came out here and sang as if your life depended on it. That's the type of artist I would like to have on my team." Contestant 1 was completely shocked. Their heartfelt farewell had just transformed into a second opportunity to win the championship. The other coaches showed their approval by nodding. Snoop Dogg shook his head and laughed. "Reba is playing chess while the rest of us are playing checkers." Gwen Stefani smiled. "That was amazing. You just saved a possible finalist, Reba." Michael Bublé let out a sigh, appearing to be both relieved and impressed. "All right, I feel a bit more confident about my choice now." Contestant 1, who was still feeling overwhelmed, rushed over to Reba's chair and hugged her while the crowd cheered in delight. The significance of this moment. This wasn't simply a significant moment for the contestant, it was a game-changing move for Reba McEntire. Her squad was already looking like a strong contender, but when she stole one of the best singers of the night, she showed that she was determined to win. She also reminded everyone why she is such a great performer. She can recognize raw talent when she hears it. What will happen next? Contestant 1 is now officially a member of Team Reba, and they will need to get ready for the knockout rounds, which will be significantly more challenging than before. On the other hand, Michael Bublé will have to demonstrate that he made the correct choice. Will contestant 2 meet expectations, or will he wish he had kept contestant 1? And of course, Reba McEntire's theft made things a lot more exciting. If the other coaches did not take her seriously before, they certainly do now. Concluding remarks. This battle round had everything that fans love about The Voice. Amazing performances, heartbreaking moments, and a daring steal that changed everything. Reba McEntire already showed she's one of the savviest coaches in the game, And with her newest squad member, she might well be on her way to stealing the entire season. Tears, tears and more tears. We couldn't finish this episode recap without mentioning the battle between Team Snoot's Chris Dio and duo Mr. Moon. Performing Amy Winehouse's version of Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow, the artists were paired so they could showcase their harmonies, and Snoop's vision paid off on the voice stage. Their three-part harmonization was near perfect, with the rapper admitting he caught chills on my body during their performance.